Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is my eyeshadow palette review for May. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me here today. Today we will be reviewing all of the new to me eyeshadow palettes that I tried for the first time in May. Before we get into the video, it may be good to know who I am and what I like doing on this channel, just in case you're new here and you've never watched one of my videos. My name is Micah, I live in the Netherlands, I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, and this greatly influences how I feel about makeup. I have been reviewing makeup for more than a decade. I love trying out eyeshadow palettes, essence and Catrice, and getting the use out of my makeup. So if that's something you're interested in, then I do hope you would like to consider subscribing. So this video is going to be a review of the 6 eyeshadow palettes that were new to me that I wanted to review for you this month. This video is something I do every single month. I select a bunch of new to me eyeshadow palettes that I'm then using for the first time. In this video, you can expect me to insert swatches, as well as close-ups and any of the looks that I've done with these. I document them throughout the month and then I put everything into one video. So this way you can get the lowdown on all of these palettes, and one of these palettes is on my eyes today as well. I will be inserting any links in the description box down below if I can find them, so that if you want to purchase any of these, that you can. Do be mindful that if you use those links to shop through them, I could make a small commission because I do put them through with my affiliate link program that I'm a part of. So yes, thank you in advance if you do decide to shop through that. But these were the 6 palettes that I tried for the first time this month. And it's kind of split into 2 because it was part of like 2 different orders. So I still was missing 1 or 2 shades from a Catrice lipstick line that I reviewed for you in April. But I felt bad getting something from Germany and just ordering 2 lip products from Catrice. So I decided to put some eyeshadow palettes from brands that I hadn't tried eyeshadow palettes by yet. One brand was completely new to me, and then these 2 are by a brand I've tried foundation from before, and I really like them. But I just wanted to give it a whirl. And the next section are Glamlite eyeshadow palettes that I got from Monolith ever since I tried and fell in love with the Ghost Face Lives palette that they released over the fall time. So I decided to buy some more Glamlite to see if I truly like the brand and see if it was just a fluke, I just like the one palette, or if I like some more things by them. So I think I'm gonna start with the Cosmetic for Less stuff first, and then we'll go into the Glamlite stuff. If I sound a little stuffy and congested, I've been ill all week, and that's also why I'm wearing lipstick for the first time again this week, because I had a massive cold sore. I'm still a little bit like gaspy, I feel, but the cough is mainly gone. I don't feel as short of breath as I did throughout the rest of the week, so I do hope you don't mind that. So first things first, I wanted to talk to you about these 2 palettes, and these are by Eveline Cosmetics. If you've never heard of Eveline Cosmetics, I'll open them up in a second for you. Eveline Cosmetics is a Polish drugstore brand that over there you can find it like your regular drugstore, and I can find them on several European-based websites. I have tried some of their products through Notino before, but then I found out that Cosmetic for Less, which is a German website that I shop some Catrice and Essence through quite often because they usually get the products first. And so therefore I go on there quite a lot when I know Essence and Catrice have new stuff. But yeah, I found out that they do Eveline Cosmetics as well, and I found 2 color stories that looked quite interesting to me, and I think it's this one, so I'll link you to that in the description box down below. But the Essential Rose I filmed a look with, so if you want to see this going on live on camera, then you can. But I wanted to start you off with the first one that I tried, which is the Twilight shade, and this just looked to me like it could be like a nice, like sort of like rosy, smoky eye. Like, these color stories aren't revolutionary by any means. So these color stories aren't anything interesting per se, like they're not like revolutionary, they're not groundbreaking, but I just wanted to see if Eveline Cosmetics can do good eyeshadow, because there are a couple of the palettes that I spotted on Notino, I think they're on Cosmetic for Less as well, that I would want to buy as well, but these were dirt cheap and they were on offer. So I was like, you know, for the couple of euros that these cost, I might as well just give them a whirl. And I have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised. This is actually decent eyeshadow. Is this groundbreaking quality-wise? Not at all. But for how affordable these are and what you can do with them, I like them enough. I do feel it's just like one look in a palette. I kind of need every single shade here to really create the look. I think I used this one in the crease. I don't remember exactly what I did. I'm pretty sure this is on the lower lash line. I used this as liner. This is probably on the lower lash line as well. And I used that pink all over the lid. And you get some blend shades as well. I could do with fewer of these very light things. Like, if it was like this could have easily been a 6-pan and I would have been happy. But yeah, it's pretty. It's decent quality. It really isn't too bad. So if you're looking for affordable eyeshadow and you're in the EU and you can shop through Notino and Cosmetic for less, then definitely check them out, because for like these retail for under €5. And I think I got them because they had like 20% off that time, so I think these were only €3. It was a steal. It was a steal. Are these going to last a long time in my collection? I don't think so, but it was fun to try, and I did feel really good in these looks. The shimmers aren't super metallic-y, they're more of a satin, so that has to be your cup of tea. So if you want like boom kapow shimmer and like really intense mattes, we'll get to the Glamlite stuff later, so that's when we get into that kind of territory. But if you just like a really good, easy to work with everyday eyeshadow palette, the Twilight and the Essential Rose, they kill it. They really did. So the other one I got is the Essential Rose, as I mentioned, and this one I showed you in a video already, and this is Naked 3 Vibes. When I was putting it on, I hadn't clocked it as like a Naked 3 inspired palette, just by looking at it. But when I was creating that look, it really gave me the look for what I was usually getting out of my Naked 3. I've decluttered my original Naked 3 and only kept the shades I liked and fused it together with the Naked 2. So yeah, this is nice. If you're looking for that sort of warmer, rosy vibe, this can be really nice as well. In here, I felt the shimmers were a little bit more impactful. We get a little bit more variation in the lighter shades, but it doesn't go as deep. So here I would have liked a little bit more, like this is very mid-tone, I feel. I could have done with like 1 or 2 darker shades in this to really be able to deepen things up. But the deep purple we get in here is really nice as liner. You get a really good crease shade in here. You get some really stunning shades for the lower lash line. Again, just one look in a palette with this for sure. But I like, and the packaging of this, it's super cheap plastic. You can just feel it when you hold these in your hand. But I definitely feel that the Eveline Cosmetics palettes I've tried are a really good bang for your buck if you're looking for something very cheap. And to be quite fair, with the current cost of living, I think a lot of us are just looking for a good bargain, and these definitely are. Then I got quite a lot of compliments on the look I was wearing in some videos that you saw this week as well. When I was wearing that purple monkey dress, I was wearing quite a peachy makeup look, and I like that juxtaposition of like the purpley lilac dress with the peaches on my face. I just like that kind of look for the springtime. And the eyeshadow palette I was wearing in those videos was this. This is by Rude Cosmetics, and it's the Roaring 20s Excessive palette. Rude Cosmetics is a brand I had never tried before, and they usually do really big, almost like book-like eyeshadow palettes. They're like 35 pans. They look insanely crazy, and I feel that these really big palettes are incredibly repetitive. However, for how many shades you get, it's a pretty decent price point. It's like 25, 30 euro-ish for like 35 shades, which has always made me wonder, like, how good is this brand? I had just never seen a color story that I truly, truly liked. And then, very randomly, I spotted this on Cosmetic for Less, as I mentioned, to round out my order and to have something in there that made me feel not so bad about ordering it all the way from Germany. This apparently came in like a set of 4, so there were 4 of these Roaring 20s palettes. And one of them was a straight up dupe for the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz. I don't remember the name, but when I was looking into these and like looking for swatches to see what I would want to get, this one I think is a little bit more unique. You can definitely do some other things with it, but it is a very soft yeah, a very soft look you're going to get with any of these shades. As you can see, you only really get one true dark shade. So if you have deeper skin, this will probably not show up on you. However, for me, it was actually really nicely done. And I felt really good wearing this. Like, it looks so warm toned. It definitely looked warmer toned once I got it home compared to what I thought it looked like when I bought it, like online. This looked like a taupe. It's nothing like a taupe. It's like a silvery olive gold kind of thing. It's got a bit of silver sparkle running through it. But you get essentially like a full mauve, like warmer tone mauve look. You get these like rosy peachy looks with the lavender. That was pretty. And then you just get a really nice warm tone, more sultry look. That's how I split the palette into 3, and that's the 3 looks I did. I used every single shade in this palette, save for the weird putty shade. I also don't use those in my Huda Beauty palettes. I never ever reach for those, so I kind of skipped that one. But yeah, I ended up liking this a lot more than I had expected. Again, is this groundbreaking makeup? No. The mattes are quite soft and quite powdery, so you do need to build them up in order to get the impact that you want. The shimmers are more of a satin shimmer, just like with the Eveline Cosmetics ones. Nothing here is super metallic-y and kapow, but if you like a very soft, very easy to blend look, this is really nice quality. I think this retailed for around 20 euros on Cosmetic for Less, so it could be, because this is 20 pans, I believe. Yeah, this is a 20 pan eyeshadow palette, so it could be that because this is smaller, you get a slightly different formula in here compared to the big ones. I don't know how that goes within the brand, but I like this. I think it has a lot of shades that I like, and I would definitely reach for these mauve tones with those lighter lavender shades like a million times over. And this looks like it's going to be super orange and warm toned, but that was the peach shimmer that was on my lids in those videos I filmed for you, and you were already able to see. Same with this as well. It pulled a lot more pink on me. So for me, I enjoyed this so much more than I had expected, especially when I first swatched it. I wasn't super impressed with how it swatched, but with brushes, I feel it performs really well. I didn't have any issues with creasing or longevity. Same thing with the Eveline Cosmetics. Of course, I do double prime my lids for those people who don't know yet. I use a clear primer at the start of my makeup routine, let that set, and then I go in with a MAC paint pot, which I set with eyeshadow right before I do my eyeshadow. So that way I feel with my slightly hooded eyes, I can still get the most like longevity out of any shadow I wear, and it works really well. And it doesn't mean I have to like stick down the shimmer with a glitter glue, or what I see some other people do. I don't like glitter glue because it doesn't allow you to blend. And I find that the pigment then still fades. The glitters stay, but the pigment still fades. So that's why I do the double prime method, which I've never heard anybody else talking about, save for me. But yeah, I do feel that these work really well, and especially for the price point, I was really happy with those purchases, and they were definitely a little bit more of a surprise compared to what I had expected these would offer. And then the second round goes to these 3 Glamlite palettes. And these Glamlite palettes I picked up from Monolith, as I said. However, if you're in the US, you can of course shop through the Glamlite official website, where they do loads of like discounts and codes and all that. So Glamlite is a brand that I also find, in terms of like, as expensive as indie brands have gotten, I feel that Glamlite is still pretty okay price point wise. The thing I don't love about Glamlite is how much they release. Like, their releases, it's like one right after the other. Monolith only just now got the Kiss palette, and there's already a new one that's been announced, and I'm like, it's so difficult to keep up with this brand, and they do so many IP collabs, which I'm also not a huge fan of, but I'm a color story girl at the end of the day, so I selected a couple of color stories that I wanted to try out to see whether I like the brand as much as I do now after trying the Ghostface Lives, as I said in the intro. So I tried the Ghostface Lives, I think, in February or January. I could leave the link to the review in the description box down below, so you can have a look at that as well. And that was my first Glamlite palette in years. I tried the Cake palette back when everybody was raving about it and didn't like it. one bit. Everybody was raving about it, saying how nice it was, how good it was. And I just sat there and was like, is this really what everybody's raving about? This? And I just didn't get it. I think the Cake palette is one that you might like if you like a lot of mattes and like really colorful shades. But for me, it was really the shimmers that were lacking. And I bought the palette mainly for like the blues and like the more cooler tone colorful shades it had. And those all pulled very muddy on me, even the mattes. Like it was this, it almost like when I started blending it, it just didn't really gel well with my undertone, it seemed. So I didn't feel good wearing it at all. And it didn't quite work. But then they did that Ghostface Lives palette. And of course they have this entire Halloween sort of line going on. And I have been lusting after a couple of those things. But on Monolith, they went out of stock super quickly. So when the Ghostface Lives was announced and Monolith had said that they were going to get it, I knew I wanted to get my hands on it. So when I placed a Monolith order over the fall time, I think for like Black Friday or something like that, I decided to pick it up and I really loved it. And there were some other palettes from the brand that I had sort of been eyeing up, but that I hadn't been able to get because getting it from the US really doesn't make any sense. It makes the palette twice as expensive. So I'm really glad I can get it a little bit more easily through Monolith, and this happened. So the first one I tried is the Hershey's Cookies and Cream eyeshadow palette. And this, I knew I was gonna like it the minute I saw this being reviewed and swatched by other creators when this first launched. I think this came out either early 2023 or at the end of 2022. It's definitely an older palette from them. But it's essentially a cool tone palette with blues. Like, this is the only, like, true warm tone that you get, this, like, mustardy kind of shade. But even, like, at least on my skin tone, I didn't feel it looked as warm toned as I had expected from it in the pan. This shade is absolutely stunning. It's dark, but I felt that this, for instance, with a light hand, was really easy to sheer out, and it worked as a crease shade on me. I kind of went blues and a gray look. That's sort of how it went when I used this one. It's only 12 shades, so I definitely split it in half, and I did 2 looks with this. And I felt really good wearing it. A lot of people were also commenting when I was wearing this palette how much they liked my look that day, because I was wearing this when I was wearing the navy dress with the hairband in a couple of videos this month that I showed you. So yeah, this was very successful, really nice, really impactful shimmers. Not the quality I remember from the Cake palette. Very consistent with what I have seen from the Ghostface palette. It has some really nice shades, but as you will see with all of these palettes, they're quite intense in terms of how deep they go, which I think is great if you have deep to, like, medium to deep skin. This is going to be really great. For my fair skin, I feel I can make it work, but I need a very light hand, I need fluffy brushes, I need a lot of blending, and I need to be very careful with my placement. So if I just like take this shade, for instance, and I just try to whack it into the crease, it's not going to work. But something like this definitely worked in the crease. I was able to make it work quite well, and I find that actually goes for all 3 of the palettes I have here. So then the second one I tried was the one that was released together with the Ghostface Lives throughout the Halloween palette in 2023. It's the Friday the 13th Camp, what's it called? Crystal Lake. And that's the one. I don't watch horror movies. I'm just not really good with them, so I don't tend to watch them at all. But color stories like this, you know I like. So in here, we get a lot more shimmers than with the Ghostface Lives palette. And that's sort of how it worked in my brain. I was like, the Ghostface Lives is very gray taupe brown leaning. You don't get any color whatsoever. And I was like, this is like the colorful grungy version of the Ghostface palette. So with this, I think I did a look, I think I did 3 looks. Yeah. I did a look with like this part of the palette, and like with the reds with some of the blues that I still had left. And this worked so much better than I had expected. I was very nervous to try using these reds, thinking they would give me pink eye, but they worked really well on my skin tone, and I was actually quite surprised. Of course, these three shades I love. They're the neutral row, and you also get a little bit of like a goldy brown here in the middle, which actually I feel pulls a little bit more taupe. So you essentially get like three like heather, sort of lighter, well, I wouldn't call them light, more like muted lavender kind of shades. That's what I should call them, muted. That's these three. Then you get some neutrals here. You get some green tones, really stunning as well. Then you get the blues and you get a black with two reds. And I just found that it worked really well. The colors really went together super well as well. I just really enjoyed every look I did with this. Amazing shimmer quality. And I just like that. How many mattes do we get? Yeah, the entire bottom row are mattes, and then you get two mattes here at the top. No, maybe this red is also a matte. And then this does have some sparkle, but it doesn't really show up. If this had a red sparkle, it would like a true metallic shimmer like the other shimmers are in this palette. I would have liked it even more. So this is really good, and I can definitely see myself going back to this. And I'm itching to combine it with the Ghost Face palette, perhaps over like Halloween time. I might want to put it in like a palettes revisited video because it worked really well. And finally, what's on my eyes today is this. This is the Chucky palette. It's officially called the Crazy in Love. And this was a Valentine's Day release, and they did something so yummy and grungy, and I was so nervous for trying this one because so many of you had also told me, Micah, I think it's going to be too dark for you. And as you can see, yes, it's dark. It's definitely for if you want to embrace your inner goth. That's when you reach for this palette. But the undertones in this, I'm wearing these shades, like this entire like little pairing of 5. They look so warm toned in the pan, but there isn't a hint of warmth on my face. They pull like stunning wine red colors, and that makes them so much more wearable. So undertone wise, I feel this does something really special. You get some grays in here, you get these like really nice saturated purples, and then you get those wine shades. The only thing I'm missing, and so what I've done with all of the looks I've done with this palette, and also with some of the Friday the 13th, is that I went in with a bit of my highlighter as my inner corner highlight, because all of the shimmers in here, that's really what makes it dark. The shimmers are dark. There aren't enough shimmers in here that can really act as a inner corner highlight for me, so I've substituted my highlighter to have that brightness in the inner corner. But I think this looks stunning, and I felt so good wearing this palette, and I'm really glad I got it. Plus a monolith, it came back in stock, I bought it, and they put it back up for the sale price because this went on sale last year. That's why it was selling out so quickly and I couldn't get my hands on it. But it's still listed for that slightly cheaper sale price, which I appreciate. So yeah, I did 3 looks with it. I think I did a look with the purples, and then I did a look with the grays, and then I did a look with these ones. And I felt great, let me tell you. All 3 of these I think worked really well. And what I was afraid of with this was that it was too dark. But do you see that crease shade? How nicely that blends. It blends perfectly. It works so well with my skin tone. And this just goes to show that you can easily pull off deeper, darker shades as long as they go with your undertone really well, I find. I felt really good wearing these shades. And yes, it makes me look super pale. And like I said, I'm only wearing lipstick for the first time today. But yeah, it just worked because I couldn't wear a lot of makeup the past couple of days. But I still had to go to work, so wearing these shades, even though I was feeling absolutely dreadful, really, really made me feel so much more put together, and I was really, really loving it. So those were my 3 Glamlite picks. I think I had a very successful month. There wasn't anything here that I disliked. Yes, the quality of these is very different. I think the Eveline Cosmetics ones, like, they were, as I said, I paid like €3 for those 2 palettes. Each, not together. But that's so affordable that I feel like you can't knock it for that. And to have the quality still be decent, like, it's not gonna wow me. It's not like, ooh, this is the best shadow I've ever played with kind of vibes. Not at all. I don't feel that way about any of these. I think formula-wise, these are just good shadows. Good shadows that are easy to work with and that you can pull a look out of. The Glamlite ones I just like because they have much more unique color stories. And as I said, even though all three palettes are quite dark and deep, I still really enjoy it. It's a vibe. It's definitely something I want to reach for more often. And I definitely think that especially the Chucky one, because of the cooler undertones it has, it just works really well on me. So for me, this was a very successful month of eyeshadow trials. Let me know in a comment down below what eyeshadow palette you have been testing out. Maybe you have anything new in your collection. And I will be back with a new video like this next month, where I will be showing you some new palettes again. So thank you so very much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch my videos. Thumbs up this video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make several videos every single week, so we'll be back with a new one very, very soon. And then I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!